around with us. Take it away, Jay.
By the way, you got 2 6-men of the year. You got Montrezl Harrell and Dennis Schroeder. That's an upgrade.
I haven't even got fitted for my championship ring from this season.
Man, it's ridiculous.
And we've already started, sizing for the next year.
I want to ask you this. This is amazing to me, and maybe this is just life these days. These guys, listen to this. Over the weekend, Donovan Mitchell, big deal, right?
Yeah.
To stay with the Jazz.
Supermax, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Gordon Hayward goes to the Hornets. A little surprising, right? $120 million.
See, y'all complain about Mike spending money. That's what y'all get.
Boston messed up, man. Should have a sign and trade with Indiana.
Interesting. So he leaves Boston. Mike, of course, Jordan, the owner of the Hornets, De'Aaron Fox, and Jason Tatum at 195. Those four guys, Mitchell, Hayward, Fox, Tatum, you guys were born in the wrong era. Total, just for those four guys over the weekend, $641 million.
Wow.
$641 million for those four guys.
Yeah, see, I wasn't born in the wrong era. I just played the wrong sport.
Hey, you know who hasn't been paid yet, Zubin?
Tell me.
Bam Adebayo.
You know who else hasn't been paid yet? Ball. And he came out with them, huh?
Lonzo. I don't think Lonzo's going to get that kind
No,
of
but I'm
deal,
saying, but to come to think of it, he was the second pick in the draft, though.
Yeah.
Those dudes went all behind him.
Yeah, well, Markelle Fultz was first, though.
Oh, yeah, Markelle Fultz was first. That's right.
Here's the thing that's interesting about Bam. You ready? Bam's agent is the same agent for Giannis.
Miami connection.
So there are three teams that are trying to move around cap space right now, Key, between Miami, the Mavs, and Toronto to try to sell Giannis on it. So that's interesting. Pay attention to that.
What in the world to do with
Western Conference Finals appearance? And the Lakers, fresh off the title, agreed to deal with Marc Gasol. They drafted him originally. Defending champs are reworking their front court and trading JaVale McGee to the Cavs to clear up some space for Gasol. All right, it's not official until Woj says so. Actually, sometimes Woj says so, then it becomes official. But in any case, we're going with these stories we just told you about. Mitchell and Tatum, the extensions. Why do these deals make sense for the players and their teams?
Two foundational cornerstone players for both franchises. The kind of players that you build around, that guys want to play with, that represent, your organization. Those are no-brainers. Both 5 years with the opportunity to make nearly $200 million for both Donovan Mitchell and Jason Tatum.
All right, Lakers win the title and say, let's get a new guy in the 5 spot. Why was that move made?
Well, a great opportunity there. Once Dwight Howard left for Philadelphia, they bring in not only Montrezl Harrell, but now Marc Gasol, a much more skilled, future Hall of Fame player, who can do so many things on the court, offensively, defensively, rebound. And, I think for Marc Gasol, a chance. Remember, this is the organization that drafted him. He was traded for his brother Pau before he ever played an NBA game. Now Pau's out living in Southern California. He'll be near his brother and have a chance now to win another NBA title. He won one with the Raptors.
Woj using just one of his many phones. Thanks for joining us.
Yet another NBA championship. The Lakers have already pretty much renovated that entire roster. They picked up the top 2 bench scorers in the NBA, and Dennis Schroeder and Montrezl Harrell. Also improved their three-point shooting by adding Wesley Matthews to a team that ranked 21st in three-point percentage last season, and re-signing KCP to a new 3-year deal. Yeah, that should help in that area also. All right, to dig a little deeper into NBA free agency, we've got our front office insider Bobby Marks with us, and give Rob Pelinka and that front office in LA a lot of credit for what they've done for the team that's about to be defending a championship. But considering what they've done, what else can they do?
Yeah, rarely do we see a team flip their roster over, right? Of course, they still have LeBron James and Anthony Davis, but Wes Matthews, Montrezl Harrell, and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, of course, is back. Dennis Schroeder, they've added. Now, this is what they have left to do. They've got 4 roster spots. They only have the veteran minimum exception that's worth about $2.6 million. But here's the challenge. They are hard capped, so you need to fit those spots under that number, $6.5 million. The challenge becomes and here's a player that's being linked to them, is a player like Marc Gasol. To get Marc Gasol, it's got to be on the veteran minimum exception, unless you can try to work out a sign and trade, possibly for someone like JaVale McGee. The hard part is he only makes $4 million, so you've got to make the money work. But so far, this team has really reshaped itself. Best team in the West right now.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if Gasol wants to go west and try to win a second NBA championship. All right, so let's talk about some of the another team, Bobby, that maybe he's not getting the attention it deserves based on what they've done with their roster.
Yeah, that's the Portland Trail Blazers. That's a team that was just fighting to get into the playoffs last year, sneaks into the 8th seed. I've got them as a number 2 team in the Western Conference right now. Yes, they get an A+ for the offseason. I know we don't give trophies for the offseason.
No, we do not.
But they're getting it from me. And I think when we look at their roster, here's what they've been able to do. They've added Robert Covington from the Rockets.
Yep.
They've re-signed Rodney Hood. Of course, Damian Lillard, C.J. McCollum, and Yusuf Nurkic is back. But this is what I really like. Carmelo back for another year. Derek Jones from the Heat. Zach Collins returns. Enes Kanter. Harry Giles. And this is what I call them. I called it the $40 million club, right?
Okay.
Kanter and Covington in trades. Free agents, Hood, Anthony Jones, and of course, Harry Giles.
Yeah.
And where I see them, this is a top 4 team in the Western Conference.
You know, they're way up there in the Pacific Northwest. Oftentimes they kind of get overlooked, but you got to give Neil O'Shea credit for what they've done so far. And Bobby Marks said they're number 2 in the West right now. We'll see how that plays out throughout the season. Bob, appreciate it. Wojnarowski, a couple of all-star players have earned max contracts. We start in Boston, where Jason Tatum has agreed to a 5-year, $163 million extension with the Celtics. It includes a 30% escalator clause that could turn that guaranteed 163 into 195 million should Tatum make one of the 3 All-NBA teams. The 22-year-old averaged career highs of 23 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists last season. Celtics went to the Eastern Conference Finals for a second straight year. Also grabbing a max bag, Donovan Mitchell. The Jazz guard getting that same 5-year, $163 million extension. Again, that could balloon to 195 if he reaches All-NBA status. The 24-year-old averaged 24 points a game last season, and then he dropped 2 50-point games during Utah's 7-game series loss to Denver in this year's playoffs. So all total, you have 4 players from the 2017 draft class who have scored more than 3,000 points in their young NBA careers. And now 3 of them have agreed to rookie Supermax extensions with those same squads. The number 1 pick from that year, Markelle Fultz, well, he's no longer with the team that drafted him. Well, with us, though, is the aforementioned Adrian Wojnarowski. And, you know, what would I say to most NBA fans? They look at these deals, they felt like no-brainers for both the player and the squads. But let's start with Mitchell and the reason that he wanted to stay in Utah, and they were doing everything to keep him.
Yeah, there's a great relationship there, Donovan Mitchell, not just that organization, but that community. And he came to them right at the draft, right before Gordon Hayward left in free agency. That was a wounded city. And immediately he gave them hope. And they realized very quickly they had a superstar and a player to build around. And now he comes back. You saw what he did in the bubble. And a player that really has blossomed, you've seen as a man. And you see him at the forefront of the social justice movement this summer in the league. And he's had a strong voice with that in that Salt Lake community. And you'll see a lot of that going forward. And he's just the kind of person that new ownership there, Ryan Smith, their front office, that they want to build around.
We often talk about players that are face of the franchise. He's definitely that there in Salt Lake City. All right, but let's go over to Boston. Jason Tatum, I mean, he really emerged as a star this past season. Granted, they got some young talent in that squad, but that seems to be the building piece for this team going ahead.
Absolutely, especially you've seen some stars come and go from Boston. Max players, Kyrie Irving, Al Horford, and then Gordon Hayward. But Jason Tatum is the player now, 5 years, close to $200 million, like Mitchell, with one more All-Star appearance. And you've already seen with Tatum, he is a player. He can be the best player on a championship team. And, you know, for this Celtic organization with such a history of great ones, he's one you imagine up in the rafters someday. It's not easy to get your number up there, but you imagine it up there. And he's now, for them, with Jaylen Brown and, this, young core they have, he's the centerpiece. Yeah, give a lot of credit to Danny Ainge, not only just drafting Jason Tatum out of Duke, but realizing that he could be a cornerstone for this organization going forward. Woj, as always, appreciate the time, brother. Thanks, Mike.
All right.
Well, this is where the Lakers are right now, and it is rare for a championship team to kind of flip this whole roster. And first, we saw the move with Dennis Schroeder trading for Danny Green. He replaces Rajon Rondo. Wesley Matthews was signed for the biannual exception, replaces Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Oh, we can't get him in there. Montrezl Harrell replaces Dwight Howard. Nope, touchscreen's not working, but they're in there. Trust me, they're in there. And when you look at their resume, as far as what they have with that roster, 6 roster spots open. They've got bird rights on Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. They still have the veteran minimum exception, and they're $14 million below the luxury tax. They still have some work to do here, but as you could see, this roster has totally flipped. The Montrezl
you.